All right, it's recording. So, first thing, you don't have to get into like a huge panic if my screen looks different than yours. I'm going to show you how we pin things up to the toolbar. If you've just started this up, you've just started using this program, you're not going to see all the things that I have pinned here. And I'm going to go, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go into the preferences, and we're going to get all on the same page. Okay? So, in the upper right-hand corner, where your name is, you're going to go to Preferences. Okay? And the first thing, that first page that comes up, the most important thing is where it says default. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. It says default modeling orientation. Usually default is Y up. We want it to be Z up. Okay? And the reason why we want Z up is on any of the machine, because whatever you model in here, you can you can send the code out to the 3D printers, to the multicam, to the Haas, to the laser, to the plasma cam, anything that is a CNC or computer numerically controlled. What you design here can go to that machine. Okay, and the beds on a printer or on the multicam, that bed is the XY axis. What goes up and down, if it's the nozzle or the extruder on the 3D printer or the spindle, that's the Z axis, up and down. So one of the problems that I found is people start modeling things in here and that axis is off and then they're stuck. So we always want the Z up. So put that to Z up. Next we're going to go to the one right under API, which says Design. We're going to click on that. Okay, and really we're going to have pretty much everything up, but in design history we want to make sure it says Capture Design History, because we're going to do parametric modeling. And right below it, Default Workspace should just say Model. All of those check boxes should be off except for the one that says Edit Dimension When Created. That's the fourth one from the bottom. Okay.
I can't read that.
It's the fourth one from the bottom. Oh, you got that right. Go to Design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was what I missed.
Yeah. And then check all of these off except for Edit Dimension. You want that one? No, you want that one on, and all the other ones on. Yeah. And everything else looks good. Right on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And next, what we're going to do, we're going to go to where it says CAM. Okay. I don't know where you guys are going to take this. Maybe you just want to use this for 3D printing. Maybe you want to use this for the Haas or the multicam or the Shapeco. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is where it says Enable Cloud Libraries. Check that on. And what that does is that when you start building your tool library, or you start putting end mills in there, your own end mills, when you get more advanced, you can log in on any account or any computer that has Fusion 360 with your credentials, and it will pull up that tool library. And if you take my multicam class, the one that I do, I will provide you with the tool library for the multicam. It's exactly the same setup they have for VCarve. Okay, Brian Davis did all the feeds and speeds. It's an exact duplicate, but in the format that you can use in Fusion 360. Okay, all of these, the only one of all of the things that are in these options, there's one that says manual, show manual NC. It's like right there. Click that. Make sure that one's clicked off. The other ones, you don't have to duplicate this. Just make sure that one is turned off. And then what I want you to do is just hit apply on your thing. And don't hit OK, just apply. Okay?
What's the third box?
Show operation machine time.
Is that what you've got checked?
No, the one, okay, really none of these really matter. It's this one here that says show manual NC.
That I had checked, but I.
Yeah, check it off. Make sure it's off. So I'm gonna.
Manual and see it off?
Yeah, make sure that one is off.
Okay.
Yeah. That one's annoying. You don't need that one. Next, we're gonna go. Okay. Under graphics. I don't know. Some people have fast computers. Some people have slow computers. So I just want to bring everything down graphics-wise to a simpler level, so that your computer doesn't get bogged down. So selection, display type, put it to simple. Degraded selection display type, keep it simple. Transparency effect, make it better performance. Limit effects during navigation to maintain frame rate, check that on. The one that says minimum frame rate during navigation, bump that up to 50, or else it gets choppy. It can be choppy. And then limit effects when graphics memory is low, check that one on. Disable surface normal display, check that one on. And then the other one, it's no big deal. And if you know, that's just for the class, just so that we're all on the same page. If your computer is like super fast, you might want to bump those up for later. Okay. But what I have found is I could be on one good computer and one not so good computer. And it's really super annoying if I'm on like at home and I have everything set to full blast, and then I come on another computer and it just can't handle it. I just keep everything simple because things move so much faster. Okay. Next, we're going to go to default units, and under there is design. Let's make sure our units are in inches. Okay, we're all in inches. Now you can design in anything you want. I'm just going to keep it in inches for simplistic sake. I'm from Canada, so I can do millimeters or inches, but here's just a point though. It does not matter what you design it, except if you're going to 3D print your object. Okay, and I believe that if you export the STL, when you're going to export it, I think it has to be in millimeters. Yes. So when you export this out, I'll show you later where you can change it per document. And if you're going to design something for 3D printing, make sure it's in millimeters. Because what happens when you export it out and you bring it to the machines over here, it'll shrink it, or it'll usually will shrink it and think it's in millimeters, or it'll think it's in something else. I don't remember. I don't 3D print very much, but that's what you're going to want. Just keep it in inches for now. Now we're going to go to CAM, the one right below it. This one is super important though. If you're going to be designing anything for the multicam, I don't do any work on the Haas, but if you're going to do any, I'm sure it's the same with the Haas, but if you do anything on the multicam, your cam's dimensions have to be in inches. If they're in millimeters and you send the code to the multicam, it'll throw you an error. It'll say out of bounds. Okay, so by default always keep the cam part in inches. The last one at the bottom is preview. Now there are some cool things in here, but the most important one, and maybe not for this class, but maybe for subsequent classes that you take, is this mesh workspace. Make sure that's checked on. It's going to ask you if you want to sign up. Just say yes, and you can give me your credit card number and I'll process that for you. No, it's free. You just hit that and agree, okay? Because what the mesh workspace allows you to do, it allows you to import things like things from Thingiverse or a scan, a 3D scan. Like if you take my 3D scanner class, you can scan something, import it in there and edit it. It's super cool, okay? So after that, hit apply, and then we're going to hit OK. Okay. Next step we're going to do is in the upper left-hand corner where it says Untitled, that little X, I want you to just click that X, like close that tab, and what it'll do is it'll automatically open a new one and refresh with all the settings. So we're going to just double check in the upper right-hand corner where that cube is, Z should be up, and the word top should be on top of the cube. Okay, Z up. Anybody who does not have that. Okay. You got that, Dave?
No, because my screen flipped off. I just need you to go.
Okay, let me go. I want us to all stay on the same page here. Let me see what you got. Okay, I see. All right. You don't need that. And we're going to do, let's see. Yeah, you did it. All you have to do is X that out, see how Z is up. Perfect.
I was there.
Yep. Okay. Now you probably notice I don't have a grid on mine, but we're gonna do a couple other little tweaks. At the bottom, there's a little computer screen where it says Display Settings. You're gonna go to at the top Visual Style, and we're gonna change that to Shaded with Visible Edges Only. Click that for me. And I talk fast and I move fast because we have a lot of stuff to cover. If you miss a step, you just say, hold on a sec, because I want to stop. I don't want anybody to fall behind. Okay? We're going to hit that display again, and we're going to go to Camera. And then the one at the bottom that says Perspective with Ortho Faces. That kind of gives you the best view, kind of the best of both worlds. Okay? And then the next one right beside it where it says Grid and Snaps. Okay, so you can turn right there. It says Layout Grid. I can turn my Layout Grid on or off. I personally like to design with it off, but I'm going to turn mine on, and you're going to leave it on. Okay, if it starts to get annoying later on as you get better and faster, you can turn it off. The one thing that really super annoys me is the snap to grid thing. I hate it. Okay. It's the #1 reason why I'm a Trump supporter and I voted for Donald Trump, because he promised to ban all snap to grid from all computer programs in America. Yeah.
What is snap to grid?
Oh, it's like when you try to you move something and it'll snap to those little points on the grid. So if you want something to be 3.13 inches, it won't let you. It'll snap to 3.15. Okay. So you're gonna just turn it off because it's so annoying just for a beginner, and unless you have tolerances and you're an engineer and you want things to always snap, okay? And also turn incremental move off as well. Okay. That's good. We got all the preferences. Next, what we're gonna do, this is best practices, okay? I'm just gonna, okay. So up in the upper left-hand corner, there's that grid, and it says Show Data Panel. Click that. And if you have a little arrow, if there's like a little arrow here, just go back until you see your name at the top there. And you're gonna click New Project. And we're gonna create this folder, and we'll call it Newbie Class, okay?
Is it the same thing as my first project?
No, I want you to just create a brand new one. Okay? So you're gonna go there and you're gonna just click New Project, and I need to rename mine. And I just want to go through the whole flow of how you do things. So, as an example, I see how many newbie classes I have here. I'll get rid of it. These projects, what are these? Well, I would probably, how would you use these? They don't define, they're basically folders. They don't define like a file. They define let's say for instance, you have a client you're designing for, right? And what you can do is you can name that folder, that new project, that client's name. Okay? You have a question?
I cannot create a new product.
You are not online. You have to be hooked up to the internet.
It's not like I'm using that.
So there's no way to use Fusion offline?
You can use it offline. You can. To force it, you would go to you can go up to this job status, which is right up here, the clock, and you can turn it to work offline. Now, I don't know if it would let me, it'll let me save it, yeah. So you can't create a new project, obviously, it seems. No, You can't create a new project, but you can save your file. Okay? So you can work offline. And I think, I've never had it happen, but I think there's like a certain time period, like 2 or 3 weeks of working offline, and then it'll force you to go so that it can sync things, okay? So, and just kind of here's a pro tip. Like, if you're working on a big model or something that's really extensive and it starts to get laggy or draggy, what's happening in the background is that it's keeping this incremental backup of your work. And if you find that sometimes if it's really a large file, it will just drag. So you can actually speed things up quite a bit by going offline, doing your work, okay? It'll save it locally, but then when you're ready, when you're done, you save it, go back online, let it go back up to the cloud, and that's just kind of a little trick that will speed things up. We don't have to, with what we're doing today, we don't have to worry about that, okay? It's just like if you have a large project. So I'm going to go back online here. These new projects, they can be a client, and you name those, and those are all, all the projects, or for that person, you can keep in that one folder. Okay. Also, this is kind of advanced. Like if you're building components, like in a machine, and eventually you want like that gear to go to that gear and turn. Okay. And these are separate file, like separate designs. They all have to reside in the same project folder, okay? So that's something, I haven't taught a class on, like building joints and animation and driving joints. I'm going to put that together at some point because it's really cool, okay?
Why?
What?
I'm just why?
Why what?
Why do they need to be in the same project folder?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's
it's got all the data together.
Yeah, it's just that's the way it keeps it organized. Yeah, I mean you can create subfolders in there, but that's the way they designed it to keep things neat and tidy. Okay, so we're going to just open up that Newbie folder class project, and so you can see it's empty. So this is best practice. We haven't started doing anything yet, but what you're going to do is you're going to go up here to the top where it says save right here, and you're going to click save. Right? So you can see it's going to save in the location Newbie class, and we're just going to call this sketching. Okay, and then hit save.
Okay, I looked up when you switched the bar.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm really a klutz today.
That's cool. What did you want? So, do you have Newbie class open here?
You changed something, and I didn't. I was looking down at something,
Okay.
and you switched.
Okay.
Okay, that's where I'm at.
Right.
How do I just X that out.
No, double click the Newbie class folder project, and then it will open up.
I don't see the Newbie folder.
Okay. Sometimes okay, you haven't created it yet, so we hit Newbie, and then just type in Newbie class. And then and then it's going to create it, and then you double click that. Yeah, you can. Oh, there we go. Double click that. There we go. See, it's empty.
Yep.
Now you click save, and just say sketching. Good. And hit save.
Where is this saving?
It's going to save it in here.
Okay.
Okay.
Saving it
Right. And let's turn this guy off so it gives you a little bit more real estate. Okay. So what you do by saving it right away, it sets up incremental backup. So if there's like a zombie apocalypse, massive power outage, once it's done, then you can claim your file back again after it's over. Okay. So now what we can do is, if you look up here, just let's X that out where it says Newbie class, close that up. Good. And you can see on that tab right there, we named that file sketching, and it's version 1. And it versions for you. So every time you make a change or a major change, it will go to version 2, version 3. Super cool thing about Fusion is that it will record and remember all your versions. So like if you're on version 5 and you're thinking, man, I didn't want my thing to go that way, but where I was at version 2, you can go back in to that folder, and it'll show you all your versions, and you can promote that version 2 up to the top and work from there. It's really nice. Okay, we're gonna just talk about some real estate, and then how do we navigate around here. Up at the top, this is your toolbar. Now yours doesn't look like mine. Don't worry about it. We're gonna primarily focus in this area here, sketch. Okay, and we'll get to it in a minute. Over in this gray box here, if you just click it, these are all the different types of modeling environments that you can work in. We're gonna do some in model, okay, which we're working with solid bodies. The patch environment. Patch is not about fixing things like putting a patch on it. Patch is about modeling things in sheet, or basically, if you imagine a tent that has poles, and then you put a patch here, you put a patch here, and then you sew it all together. When you want to do really advanced, really complicated shapes and forms, you're going to be doing that in patch. Okay. Some people, I love it. You can do amazing things in there. The other one is sheet metal. I did mess around in one class. We did a sheet metal. It's really awesome. I don't do sheet metal, but you can do some really cool modeling. It allows you to create weird shapes, then fold it out flat, then do whatever you need to do it, and then have it go back into its shape. And they don't have to be, what's neat is they don't have to be angular like you would like fold it in sheet metal. They can be curved and all kinds of weird shapes, and you can lay it out flat, cut things out, and then fold it back up. It's very cool. Rendering is awesome. We might even get into that. Rendering is great. If you're designing things and you have clients or customers, you can design something for them. You can render it to photograph it like it looks like almost like a photograph. I mean, you can do a lot of things in there, and then send them a picture of the design and say, what do you think? Do you like it? And they can say, yeah, but can you change this little one thing? Or they can say, yeah, make it for me. Okay? So it's powerful to be able to so that you can communicate with people. Animation, that's where if you want to animate gears and moving parts. Simulation is super cool. There's a lot of things in simulation, like static stress, modal frequencies, thermal. I've used modal frequencies quite a bit when I design my violins. I'll create a top, and I can run modal frequencies, and I can find out what the resonant frequencies of that top with that specific material, like spruce, at a certain density. Very cool. We're not going to do that today. CAM, that's another class. The CAM environment allows you directly to put that model that you've designed and set it up to be cut out on the multicam or the Shapeco or the Haas. Okay, and then the last one is drawing. Drawing, well, it allows you, whatever your model is, you can create blueprints or drawings or technical drawings right off of the model that you created. But we're going to stay in model. So the gray box there should say model. Right below it is your the browser. And so I'm just going to go through this. Basically, it's a browser or design tree, and it will show you all of the things that you create, whether they're planes or construction planes or axes to draw along, sketches or bodies or patches. And it will show there what the name of the file, what we're working on, sketching. That one right below it where it says document settings, if you click that little triangle on the side, below it, it'll say units. And then there's a little notepad on the right. If you click that, you can change the active units. Right now, we're on inches, and we're going to keep it like that. Okay. Below are named views. If you click the little triangle, the defaults are top, front, right, home, which relates to the cube in the upper right-hand corner here. You can create your own named views. Like if you want to look at it, if you want to have it remember a certain view of a certain component, you can have it basically bookmark it. The one below it is origin. Mine is turned off right now. You can see the little light bulbs. Do you have your light bulb? If your light bulb is off, turn it on, and what it will do is it will turn on the feature of where it'll show the XYZ and the different planes. Okay. Sometimes it can be annoying, and you might want to turn it off. You can leave it off. It will always pop up when you're about to sketch something or model something, so that you can be oriented. Okay. You are not limited by these axes or by these planes. You can create infinite number of planes and axes to draw upon, and that's how you make complicated things. So I'm just going to close these up. We have nothing, no sketches, nothing yet, so that's going to come. At the very bottom, right here, where you see like this play and reverse, that is the timeline. Powerful, because we're always in. I always like to work in a parametric mode. And timeline, what it'll do is it'll record every single step that you do in your design. So if you're designing a table, and you do a sketch of the top, and then you do another sketch of the legs, and then you start to flesh it out, and you say, oh crap, I really wanted that table just a little bit shorter, a little bit longer. You can go back in the timeline and just fix that one little thing in that sketch, and then once you fix it, it will propagate all the way through the timeline so that your object is updated. It's very powerful, okay? I also call it the boo-boo line, because if you make a boo-boo in a model, you can go back and find the one place that you made a boo-boo, fix it, and you don't have to delete a whole bunch of things. It'll fix it automatically. Okay, good. Now, that's the real estate. Next thing, I want to talk about navigating. And this is a part, just mouse control. But we're going to talk about navigating. The main thing that you're going to use with navigating is this wheel. Okay? And so that's the magic navigator button. And to zoom in and out, if you push the wheel away, I mean, you can set things in prep. Say you are used to SolidWorks or some other program. You don't have to do this now, but you can go into Preferences, and that first screen right here at the bottom, Pan, Zoom, Orbit, Default Orbit Type, you can set it to Alias, Inventor, or SolidWorks if that's what you're used to. Okay? You can reverse the zoom direction if that's what you're used to. But I go with default because when I push the wheel away from me, the object goes away. When I pull the wheel towards me, it comes close. Okay?
Can you use a puck and a mouse at the same time?
You can. I don't.
Okay.
There are people who have them. Quite frankly, if there's a race, I can beat them with just a mouse and the keyboard. Okay? You'll see in a minute. You can go really fast. The next thing with the mouse, you probably hardly ever use it, but you know how you can click it, right? You click that mouse, you click and hold it, and you can pan your screen side to side and up and down. Okay? The other thing that you can do, if you want to orbit around an object, you hold the Shift key down, and then you click and hold the wheel, and you can pivot the plane and pivot around your object. So, reason why I like using a mouse, and you want to get good at this, get used to it. You don't have to go to the bottom here and hit every time you want to pan, click this, or every time you want to orbit, you click this. You can I can pan with the mouse back and forth, or I can shift and I can orbit. Right there. I don't have to go all over the place.
Is there a shortcut that'll snap it back to the original view?
Yes. We'll get to that in a second. I think I got that right. Okay, here's the thing that gets people who are beginners. Most of the time, 98% of the time, all functions when you're drawing or doing anything, you will click it. You'll hear me. You'll click at a spot. You click, let go, move, and then click again. Whereas in a lot of the programs that people they click and hold and drag. We don't do that very often in CAD, okay? And that's because when you click, it allows you now to put numbers in or change things in the design. So get used to this whole notion of just clicking, letting go, moving, and clicking again, okay? You're going to hear me as we're going through. When I say click, that means the left mouse button. When I say right click, it's this guy. When I say wheel click, I mean this. Wheel click and hold, okay? Now, if you ever get lost or like something is like all discombobulated, what you do is you just bring your cursor up to the right-hand corner where that house is, and you click that, and it will recenter it. Okay? All right. And then there's another. We don't have anything here yet. We don't have a sketch or a body. But if you're really all over the place, you can do exactly the same thing by double-clicking the wheel. Click, click, and it will home it for you, okay? But that's when you have something there. Now, next thing I want to do, I'm going to just borrow this pad for a second. When I first opened Fusion 360, not too long ago, this screen came up and that graph came up like that, and that didn't make any sense to me. Okay? Because I'm used to, grade 9 algebra, the graph looks like this and like that. And I didn't know what the heck that was. So what we're really looking at, that relates to this cube here. Okay? And so we're not looking at the sheet like this. We're actually looking at it like it's tilted like this. So when we build our model, we're always looking, there's a certain perspective to it. Okay? So don't let that, we're starting to work in 3D, you got to change a few things in your mind. Now, what we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff in Sketch. And we're going to focus on constraints. Constraints and sketching, that's the rock solid bottom foundation of modeling. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to start sketching at that cube where you see the word top on top of that cube. Click it. What happens? That whole page is going to come like it's laying flat, okay? And you're going to see the top of the cube. So now, this is how I think. I took it. It was like weird like that. I shifted it like this. This now, I can relate to this. I am looking down on top of my workspace, okay? So that's how you think. That's the flat or the bed of the 3D printer or the bed of the multicam. And we're going to go through how we draw. There are a bunch of different ways to get things done in CAD and in Fusion. Like I say, there's a lot of ways to peel a potato. So there's don't be alarmed if I do one way or another. If you're not sure why, just ask. Okay. We're going to look at this toolbar, and we're going to look at Sketch. So the word Sketch, click that. And these are all the things that you can do. You can draw lines, rectangles, circles, slots, splines, text. You can do fillets, offset, mirror, patterns, project, and some of these things at the bottom we probably won't do, maybe when we model something. You can go in here and you can actually click line. Okay, so click Sketch and then click line. And what you're going to have, your cursor is going to change. It's going to get a little icon with a line and this arc in it. That's because when you hit line, you can do two things with it. You can do a straight line, and you can also do an arc. And I'm going to show you how you do that. But before you actually draw anything, Fusion is always going to ask you, what plane do you want to draw on? Okay, you can't just like start drawing. So watch my cursor. Okay, there we go. Do you notice how it flashes over that plane? Because it's giving me the opportunity to select it. So you're going to go over that plane and just click it. And what happens is the grid disappears, okay? And that's okay. But what you're going to see on the right-hand side is what's called the sketch palette. That is really important. Whenever you're sketching, you want that guy up. Don't hide it, okay? Don't like put it off to the side and do this. You want it open, and you would really, if you can grab the bottom corner here too, make sure it's open so you can see all the way down so you see the word symmetry at the bottom, okay? Because it's really annoying if you have to scroll this thing up and down. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're not going to really look. You'll see there's options and there's constraints. We're not going to do anything in the options. Okay. So that little triangle beside the word options, you can click it and it will close it up and you'll just be left with this list of constraints here. Okay. And we're going to go down this list. But before we do, I'm going to talk about the number one constraint. That's dimension. Okay? We're going to just go ahead and we're going to draw 3 lines. Like we're going to click, move our mouse, and click again. And then you're going to see a little check mark. Click that check mark. That means end that line. And then we're going to draw another line. Click, move, click, and then click the check mark. And then you're going to click another one, click, move, click. And make them kind of like, you notice how mine are not really straight up and down? Make them kind of like that. If you didn't, it's okay. The first most important constraint
What's
is
the undo command?
undo would be Control Z, or up in that upper corner you can hit undo there. Okay. the first most important constraint is dimension, and that is you just take your left hand and you hit the letter D on your keyboard. Okay? And your cursor is going to change. It's going to have this little ruler. And what you're going to do, now watch my screen. When I go over, I haven't clicked anything, but this really is very helpful. I bring the cursor close to it, and it highlights that line. Only when that line is highlighted or an object like the end, that dot there is highlighted, can you click it. So go over to that line. When you see it highlighted, click it. Okay? And then you just click it once, and then you bring your mouse out. Now, here's a cool thing about this line. Notice, if you look at my screen, I can dimension this line in different ways. I can dimension it horizontally, I can dimension it vertically, and I can also dimension it straight on. When you're dimensioning a line, make sure that you're doing it the way you want it to be. Okay? So bring that and just kind of move the mouse until you're dimensioning this so it's straight on, that it's the actual length of the line, and then you're going to click again. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a little dialog box asking for a number. Just put the number 5 in there. That line is going to be 5 inches. Now, David, you notice like my line is off the screen?
Right.
I could go and hit home, or I could just double click my wheel and it fits it into the screen for me. Okay? So that's the first constraint. Now we're going to go through the other ones here. If your dimension line here, do you see my dimension line here is kind of in the way? You can grab, here's where you click and grab, click and hold and move. I can click, hold it, and move it off to the side here and let go, and it's out of my way. Okay? So we're going to go through these constraints. The first one is coincident. That means you want a certain feature to occupy the same space as another feature. So what we do in coincident, don't click the word, click that actual icon symbol, and then you bring your mouse over, and you're going to see the cursor actually has the symbol of that coincident. So what we're going to do, this line, top line here, you're going to click at the end of that line, okay, and you see it highlighted, the end of that line, and then we're going to go to the line that we put the dimension to and click to the end of that, click that one, and it will snap right to it. Okay? You're going to use this one a lot. Now, here's the thing. Notice my cursor is, I guess you could say it's loaded with the coincident restraint. What if I just want my cursor to be normal again? All you have to do is hit escape on your keyboard, and it will clear it, and now your cursor is back to the way it was. Because what I want to show you here, this is with all constraints. If I click on this line here, I don't really see it. If I don't click here, I don't see it. But if I go to this one dot here, notice where the constraint was applied. When I click it, the symbol of that constraint shows up. It tells me that those 2 points are constrained. What if I want to get rid of the constraint? It's very easy. I just click. I click on that symbol, the constraint symbol, and I hit delete. And now this line is no longer attached at that point. Very easy to get rid of constraints. Okay, and I'm going to add that one back in. Okay, I'm going to click that, and it's constrained. Okay, and now I'm going to make sure your cursor is loaded with the constraint symbol. And we're going to go to that second line. We're going to click the end of that line there. And now I hit the dot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to constrain it not to the end, but to the actual line. So now I'm going to click the line, and that end of that line snapped there. Okay? Now, we're manually adding constraints, but constraints will, in fact, if you do things right, you could actually have this thing automatically apply constraints as you're drawing. So we're going to do that. Remember when we did the line, we went up to Sketch and clicked Line. You'll notice right beside there, there's the letter L. Anytime you see a command or anything that has a letter beside it, it means it has a hotkey on the keyboard. So if I want to draw a line again, I just hit L on my keyboard. Okay, so hit L on your keyboard. And I'm going to start my line out here. I'm going to click. And I'm going to move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to approach this one right here. I'm going to touch it, and it snaps. It puts a little square around it. It snaps. And I'm going to click again. And I'm going to hit Escape to clear my cursor. And if I go up to that, notice it automatically applied that constraint for me. Okay? All of the constraints on the side here can do that. They can be applied automatically as you're drawing. Okay, so we're going to hit Escape. Now, what I like to do when we're doing these constraints is I like you guys to kind of start grabbing things and start playing with them. Do you see? I'm just like, I can grab something, and by doing that, you can kind of get a sense of how a constraint behaves. And that's why this is so important. Play with it a little bit, and when you start to play with it, you can get an idea of what it does, how it affects a drawing. And then when you're working on your own design, you're gonna start to get to know which constraint to apply to get your drawing to behave a certain way. Okay, so now we're going to just hit Escape on our keyboard, clear it, and we're going to draw another line. So hit L on your keyboard, and I want you to. We're going to just jump ahead in the constraints of this horizontal vertical because I want to show you. This one you get all the time. I want you to click, start a line. Now watch this. I can draw a line, and you can see that I have two little boxes there. One I can put distance in, and I can put degrees in. We're not going to go there yet. But watch as I move my cursor up. It will snap, and okay, there's that symbol. Do you see that little blue symbol right kind of midway? That automatically applied a horizontal constraint. So I'm going to click, do that until you see that, and then click the check mark. And what it did is it applied a horizontal constraint to that line. So I cannot move that line any way except it'll only move horizontally. It will also, so I'm going to have you hit L again, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to just click, start a line, and this time, if you just swing it back and forth, you're going to see at some point it's going to create a vertical constraint. And then hit the check mark. Okay? The horizontal and the vertical constraint have the same symbol. But we can apply that constraint, that was automatic, we can apply it manually. So we're going to go to the sketch palette, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down. You see the horizontal vertical constraint. Click on the symbol, and you can see the cursor is loaded with that. Go to any one of these lines here, those first set of lines, and just click it. And it will put a horizontal constraint on it. And if I do this one here,
I'm getting an error message when I click on it.
okay,
No, I click on a different line and I get it. But I don't
okay, okay. So the question is, well, how do you know if it's going to do a horizontal or vertical? Well, it depends on where the line is. It closer to the horizontal or the vertical? That's what it's going to do. Okay, you're going to be having designs occasionally where you draw something, and it's kind of at that 45 degree, and you want to apply a constraint to it. Take a sec, move it to the direction where you would like it to be, and then apply that constraint. Okay, then your sketch won't go crazy on you. Okay, we're going to go up to, we're going to hit L on our keyboard, and we're going to draw another line. And I really don't care how you draw it, just draw a line, and then click the check mark. We're going to do the next constraint, which is collinear. So in the sketch palette, we hit this. Collinear means it just shares the same line. Okay, so I click that. My cursor is loaded with the collinear constraint symbol. I'm going to click that new line, and then I'm going to click any other. You can pick any other line. I'm just having to pick this one, and it puts that collinear symbol on there. I hit Escape, and now if I can move it, it's going to stay in line with that other line. Okay? Next one, hit escape on your keyboard. And we're going to go. Now watch what I do. As I'm working through this, all I do is I click and hold my wheel and I pan this over. It's like I'm moving it over to the side because we're going to do other things. You're going to see me just shove it over to the side, shove it over to the side, shove it over to the side. Okay? It really helps when you're designing, because I see this with people who are brand new. When they're brand new, people are like, they've got their drawing that looks like that. And they're like, I can't click on the line. Well, yeah, you can't click on the line, so just zoom it in. And there are occasions, I mean, you might need to like really zoom in close to get the exact spot, okay? But we're going to just do that and move it over. And we're going to do concentric. Concentric means it shares the same center. So just like line, where you can hit L, you can create a center point circle by hitting the letter C on your keyboard. And it will load up a circle with an X in the middle. Now, in the sketch palette, it will give you an option. There are many different ways you can draw a circle, and they can all be handy. But probably one of the most common ones is the center point circle. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw two circles. You're going to click, move the mouse, click. Then you're going to go off to the side, click. Now make a bigger circle, move the mouse, click. So you have a small and a big. Okay? And then we're going to go to concentric. Click that. Now concentric means it's got shares the same center, but when you constrain on circles, you don't click the center. You have to click the circumference of the circle. Okay. So here with my concentric, I'm going to click on the circumference of one circle and then the circumference of the other, and they will snap together, share the same center, and you'll see that constraint in the middle. Okay. Now hit escape, and you can. There's no dimension constraint on these, so these circles are free to move any way they want. Okay, but you can't. I can grab the center and move them together, or I can move the outsides separately. Okay, that's that. We're gonna move on. I'm gonna talk about kind of a related constraint. It's called offset. Offset is not exclusive to circles. You can do it with any shape or line. So let's do that. We're going to hit C on our keyboard and just move that over so we have some clear space here. And you're going to hit C and then just draw a circle. Okay. Rectangle is the same thing. Hit R on your keyboard and draw a rectangle. Click, move, click. Okay. Then you're going to draw a line. Hit L. Click, move, click, and then the check mark. And what else can we do? Okay. Let's click on the word sketch up here, and we're going to go to spline. Now, you're going to know. I'm going to just show you since we're here. I just exit. Notice spline on the very right, it has this up arrow. That means if you click that, it will pin it to the top toolbar. So you can click that up arrow and it will pin up to the top here. My advice on best practice, only pin things that you can't quickly get from the keyboard. So don't pin line. Don't pin circle, like the center point circle, or pin rectangle, because those you can hit on the keyboard, okay? Just pin things that don't have a keyboard hotkey, okay? So we're going to click the spline. I pinned it. And splines are really cool. I love them. Very curvy. And with that, you're going to just click, 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 just like a bunch of them, and then join them up together. Then if you once you've got it joined together, hit escape, and then yes.
I tried to remove line from my toolbar, and I made all of it go away, so now I can't see.
Okay. Then watch. You go up to your toolbar anywhere, right click, reset all toolbar customization.
Okay.
or you can reset the panel, whatever. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is line similar to Bezier curves? I may have mispronounced the French word.
You mean spline?
Yeah.
Yes, I guess it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know who invented the spline?
I'm afraid to ask.
It was Galileo. Okay, the Italian guy. I mean, he was trying to calculate the orbits of all the planets. And he didn't realize that, everybody thought they were circular, but he discovered it was an ellipse, right? And so back in those days was when there was the Silk Road. Okay, the Italians didn't invent spaghetti, right? They got it from the Chinese. So he's trying to he's working. This is a true story. He's working on his thing, and he's trying to get the orbits. And he grabbed a spaghetti, and it fit his orbit. So he coined the term spaghetti line. I got you guys so good.
I said I'm afraid.
It's not a spaghetti line, but I invented the term. Yeah. So what's cool about the spaghetti? And from now on, I call it the spaghetti line. Okay. You can grab any one of those dots, and I mean, you can create all these cool shapes and things. Okay. We'll revisit it, but I really want to talk about offset. Okay. Because
So that whole story you made up just for the joke.
Yeah. I got so many.
You don't even want to know, David Tucker.
Okay, so hit O on your keyboard, O, and you're going to see this dialog now box that comes up, offset, and you're going to select the circle, and just click the circumference of the circle, and you can now, there's a handle, and you can move that handle in and out. If you move it out, it's a positive number. If you move it inside, it's a negative number. Okay, so I'm just pulling mine out, pull it out, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and you can see what it did is it creates this offset from that original circle. So this looks kind of like a concentric circle, but we're going to revisit that in a sec. But it's fixed. They're not independent of each other. Okay, there's a fixed distance. But hit O again and go ahead and click the rectangle. Okay, and again you can have that go in or out, so you can offset that and hit OK. Then hit O again. Click on the line, and you can offset a line one way or the other, and then hit enter. And you can have odd shapes. So I'm going to hit O again. And on my spaghetti line, I'm just going to pull that out, hit OK. And what's cool is that I can move that set inside spaghetti line, right? And the offset follows along with it. It's very nice.
That's because they're constrained.
It's a constraint. Offset. It's not one of the things that we see here, but it's a constraint. Okay.
So what if you want to change the dimension of the offset later?
Very easy. You go to look. Do you see the dimension right here?
Yep.
Double click.
Okay.
I put 5 in there.
Okay. Cool.
Super easy. Okay. Once you get used to how you just click, move, click, and how you move, and all of a sudden things become very intuitive. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do midpoint, and I'm just going to shove my stuff over, and I'm going to draw a line. And I guess I'll hit R and draw a rectangle. And actually, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to just a line and a rectangle. And so, and one more, let's do one more line. One more line. Okay, a line, rectangle, line. And I'm going to go to this constraint midpoint. Click. And what I'm going to do is this first line, I'm going to click the end of that line, the dot, and now I'm going to click the side of this rectangle. And what it did, I'm going to just hit escape, it snapped that end to the midpoint of that rectangle. Okay. You can also have things be midpoint to each other. So click on midpoint again. You're going to click the line, the other line. Oops, I did. Okay, there we go. That's why I always say clear your cursor with escape, because sometimes you have something selected and you don't realize it, and you apply a constraint inadvertently. So if you do that, midpoint, I'm going to click the line this time, not the end, and then I'm going to click the line on that rectangle. And what it did is it snapped the, okay, it snapped those two to the midpoint of each other. It's like if everything's being affected. So I'm going to just show you something else here, because that can happen when you don't have, notice, okay, did you get that? Before, my brain is just like, eh. But did you get that where they kind of constrain to each other? Let's just do that again. Push that off to the side, draw a line, and then draw another line. And then click midpoint, click one line, and then click the other line. And then they snap to each other, so they cross each other midpoint. Okay, so well then that's good. That brings us to the next constraint, because do you notice this thing just kind of floats around in free space, and when you're sketching, and we're going to see this pretty soon when we move on to modeling something. Notice the lines are blue. That means that those lines are not what we call fully constrained. They still have some kind of degree of freedom that they can move or bend to. And if you're designing something, you don't want any blue lines, okay? Like on your finished sketch. They should all be, they're going to turn black. There are different ways to do that, but I just want to show you, we'll get to that. What I want to do is, you'll notice this thing just kind of moves all over. We're going to do the next constraint. So first, clear your cursor, hit escape maybe once or twice. And then the fix on fix, you're going to click that symbol. And what I want you to do is just click one of the dots on that cross drawing. Okay? And notice it puts a green halo around it. Hit escape once or twice. And now when I move this, that end is fixed. It cannot be moved. And so everything has to move in relation to that. That's what the fix does. Okay? I will say that you should avoid using the fix unfix. You only use that as a last resort. If your sketching skills are good and you've added dimensional constraints and everything is clean, okay, you should never have to use the fix unfix. Okay? If you find yourself like adding them in, I'm going to tell you, like, because if you're going to get into parametric modeling and you want things to be able to scale up and down or change, by having those fixed points in there, your model will break, okay, because you're cheating. So always use dimensions or real constraints. Only use that as a last resort, okay? Next, we're going to just jump through. Some of these are really basic, so just scoot that over. We're going to draw 3 lines. 1, 2, and 3 lines. The next constraint is parallel. Obviously what that does. Click on parallel, click on one line, click on the other. They're parallel to each other. Okay? That's a handy one. The one right below it is perpendicular. Click on that other line, that third line, and then click on the second line, and it becomes perpendicular. Now, perpendicular does not mean that they're attached to each other. It just means that they're perpendicular. Quiz question. What if I want that line perpendicular, but I want that end attached to that line? What constraint do I use?
Coincident.
That's right. So you go up to coincident, click the end of that line, and then click the line, and boom. Now this thing is perpendicular, okay, and it's locked. Still blue. Okay, we'll get to it. The next one is, we talked about the horizontal vertical already, how that works. I'm going to show you a really super cool thing, okay? That I love. I use this a lot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw a rectangle. Hit R on your keyboard. Click, move, click. Then we're gonna hit a circle. We're gonna draw a circle. Hit C on your keyboard. Click, move, click. Now, what if in a design, I wanted the center of my circle to be perfectly horizontal with the end or the tip of that square, but I don't want them connected. And I don't want to draw a line. Okay? This is how you do it. You go to horizontal, vertical, click that constraint. Okay? Float it. I'm going to click the center of my circle, and now I'm going to click that corner, top right corner. And what it will do is it will constrain the center of that circle and the upper right hand corner horizontally to each other. Really nice. Okay? A lot of guys who've been modeling and taken my class, they would normally have drawn a line or a construction line to make that happen. That's extra and it clutters up your space. This way you don't have to do that. Okay? And let's just, you can do other things that are cool. So hit C on our keyboard and just draw another circle for me. I don't care anywhere. And then I'm going to show you another cool thing that I use this a lot. Under Sketch, there's a thing called point. I would pin that one. Once you see what you can do with point, you're going to use it a lot. So what does point do? It basically just puts a point. Okay, so let's take a look here. With my point, I want to show you how we're going to automatically add a midpoint to this line. So with my, I'm going to just zoom in. Watch my cursor. It's going to snap to that bottom line, and then I'm just going to slide it over, slide. Boom. It snaps to midpoint, and it gives me a triangle constraint. I'm going to click, and I put a point. It's midpoint to that rectangle, right? I zoom out a little bit here. What if I want now the center of that circle to be vertical to the midpoint of that rectangle? It's easy now. Before I would have had to draw a bunch of lines. But now I just go to my constraints here, horizontal, vertical. I hit that constraint. I click the center of my circle, and then I click that point that I just put in. Oh, yeah, it was closer to the horizontal, so, oops. Remember what I said? If I want it more vertically aligned, bring it closer to the vertical. And now if I go here, here, and here, it will snap to the vertical. It's very, very powerful to align things that are, like if you have a part of a design that's out here or a part of the design that's down here, and you don't want to draw a bunch of reference lines, you can line them up like that real easy.
So I've done that, now I want to move the circle off of it. How do I just drag the circle?
What do you want to do?
So
No, just tell me. What do you?
Drag the circle away from where it is now.
Well, what you can do is you just grab the center and move it. Do you see?
Okay, you grab the center.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Next, we're going to just slide that over to the side. One of my favorites is tangent. We're going to draw two circles. Hit C. Tangent is powerful. And another circle. And then we're going to draw a line. Hit L on your keyboard and just draw a line like that. So tangent basically is trigonometry. Tangent means that it's perpendicular to the, it's a line that's perpendicular to the radius of a circle. Okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to tangent, click the tangent symbol. We're going to click the line, and then we're going to click the circumference of the circle, and it made a tangent. Tangent does not mean that it's attached, it just means it's perpendicular to the radius of that circle. Now, notice I can't really move this thing, so we're just going to leave it like that for now. I want to apply tangency from this line to that circle now. So I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard, I'm going to hit tangent, I'm going to click the line, and then I'm going to click the circumference of the other circle, and now that line is tangent to both of those circles. Okay, and just move that over, and we're going to do another one. We're going to click circle. We're going to play with this one a little bit. Draw a circle, and now draw another circle. Let's make those circles tangent to each other. Click tangent, circumference of one, circumference of the other, and they will snap together. So they're kissing. Okay? And now we're going to do another one. I'm going to show you how you use it automatically. Okay? So you're going to hit C for circle, draw a circle. And now you're going to click, once you draw your circle, hit L on your keyboard. Now watch. There are two cool things you can do with a line on a circle. If I let the cursor just touch, if I click, I'm going to click and hold. If I pull perpendicular to the radius where the tangent will go, it will automatically apply a tangency to it. If I pull directly away from the center of the circle, it will apply basically a collinear line to the radius. So I'll do, here I'm going to just click, I'm going to snap, click and hold, and I'm going to pull it to the side. You see it automatically put a tangency to it, and I can let go like that. If I go to the line here, but instead of pulling off to the side and I pull straight out, it puts a line collinear to the radius. Very cool. And automatically, you'll see those two lines automatically become parallel to each other. It's grade 9 geometry, but fun. Okay? And then we're going to do this again, one more time. We're going to draw a circle. We're going to draw another circle. Then we're going to draw a line. And this time, I'm going to snap to one circumference. I'm going to click and hold. I'm going to pull off to the side like that so I get that tangency. And then I'm going to bring the end. I'm still holding I'm still holding and dragging. I'm going to let it snap to the other circle. And then I'm just going to just kind of trace along the side here. And boom, it will snap to the tangency of the other circle. Just like that. And then when I let go, that line is tangent and coincident to the circumference of those circles. You know, if you chain those together, you have a pulley system or a gear system. Okay. There's a we're going to move that over to the side. There's a related one called curvature. We're going to click on spline. So sketch, spline. And we're going to draw two splines with just 3 dots each. And then another one. 1, 2, 3. Hit escape on your keyboard. So I'm going to grab the end of one spline. See, it's like that. And I'm going to bring it over and attach it to the end of the other one. And what did it do? It automatically applied a coincident constraint to it. Now there's a problem with this. It has a kink in it. Okay? And what if I could maybe redraw that, but if I want to get rid of that kink and I want those two to flow within each other, I use the curvature constraint. It's like tangency for Bezier curves. So you click that, the curvature constraint, click on one spline, click on the other spline, and you see the symbol there where it has a curvature constraint. So now those two flow into each other no matter what. And this brings up an important point. People will ask, well, can I apply a tangency? Can I apply tangency to a spline curve? No. Can't. Well, there is a way. There is a way, and I'm going to just show you right now. You can't actually use that constraint tangency, but you can do a pseudo tangency. And here I'm going to show you because why would you do it? What if you're designing something and you've got something that's straight, a face that's straight, but then you want it to turn into something that's free-formed and curved, and where the two come together, you don't want a kink. You want it to flow right in so it looks like it's one thing. Okay? This is where you would apply it. So here this is what we'll do. Just move that over to the side. This is very cool. We're going to draw a line. Okay? And just draw a line for me like that. Okay? And now we're going to go and we're going to click spline. And you're going to just click on the end. Am I going too fast? Is everybody okay? You doing okay?
I'm doing fine. I can watch or I can do, and this one or the other. This is fine. I'll watch your tape. I'm cool. Go.
Okay, because I have a tendency to let you notice.
That's my learning mode.
Okay, okay. Because this is recorded and you can watch it again. A lot of people love it. They take this recording, they review it, and it's really helpful. Okay, so I've got click spline. I'm going to just snap to the end, and then I'm going to do one here and one here. Okay. Now you're going to notice they're attached, but if I look down here, that's a kink. That's not a natural. And if I go to tangency, you know, it's as far as I know, it let me do it. There you go. I just lied. Normally it doesn't do that. Maybe they changed it. Well, there's another way. Here's another way. I'm going to just get rid of that. This bar here, you're going to notice on these splines that you can change the curves. And what you can do is you can grab that bar, that handlebar, and you can actually snap it to the line like that, and now it flows into it. That's my preferred way to do it. Okay, so you have this flow going into it. All right, just thought I'd show you that. They must have changed, like that. It never used. They always update this thing, and they may have changed it because I never used to be able to do that. Next, equal. Well, equal is really easy. I mean, you just draw a line. Okay, you draw another line, and guess what it does? You hit equal on one line, on another line, and they become equal. Okay, so no matter what, they're the same. And before we do the last one, symmetry, I want to show you that how you draw arcs with the line and arcs. Okay, so just move that over, hit L. Now normally when you draw a line, you click, you move, and you click. But this time you click and hold. Instead of just clicking and letting go, click and hold, and it will create an arc for you. And then I can create another line, but if I click and hold, it will create an arc. Click and hold, an arc. So that's why the line symbol has that line and an arc to it, because you can do both at the same time. Okay, last one, and then we're going to model something. Symmetry. This one's a black. In modeling, always look for symmetry in objects that you want to model. Model one side of it and mirror the other. It models faster and it turns out better. Okay, so use that powerful technique. We're going to draw two lines, and they're going to be constrained vertically. We're going to go to those points. We're going to click on point under sketch, point. Okay, and then what you're going to do, you're going to draw 3 points on just this left side of the line. 3 points, random, and then on the other side another 3 points, just in some other place, random. How do we apply symmetry? Well, just watch how I do it, and then it'll be easy. You always pick the one thing, and then the other thing that you want symmetrical to each other, and then you pick the line of symmetry. So I'm going to click the symmetry constraint. I click one dot. I'm going to click this bottom dot here, and now I'm going to click the line, and they become symmetrical on that line. So now when I move that dot, the other one moves symmetrical to it. And if I cross over, they're still symmetrical. If I move up or down, that line is an infinite line. Okay. If I move the line, look what happens. It still remains symmetrical. So now I'm going to just clear my cursor. I'm going to hit symmetry. I'm going to click 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. They're all symmetrical on that line. Okay. Then we're going to go to our spaghetti. Once you have that, go to your spaghetti line, spline. Click on the top of the line, and then just connect these dots. Click it, connect all the way to the bottom, and then keep going all the way to the top. And now what we see here again, when it turns that color, like that peachy pink color, that's a profile. Profiles, we need profiles to extrude solid bodies. So you're going to see that, and that's a good thing. Okay. So I'm going to just hit escape, clear my cursor, and now I can grab any one of these points. If I move one, it moves on the other side and stretches like that. Okay? Super cool. Yes?
And could you basically make a duplicate of that and constrain it so if you make one change, it would make 4 changes?
Yes. You can do that. Let me just do one thing and then I'll show you. Okay? So this time we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to, with this second line here, you're going to hit the spaghetti line, and you're going to click here, the top of the line, 1, 2, 3, and then the bottom of that line, hit the check mark. I just have a half. And then what's the related thing to symmetry? It's mirror. So under sketch, mirror is kind of like 2/3 of the way down. I pin mine because I use it. Click mirror, and a dialog box comes up. What objects do you want to mirror? I just want to mirror that spline curve, so I click on it. What is my mirror line? You have to go back to the dialog box and click select, and I'm going to click that line, and then I'm going to hit OK. And it mirrored it on the other side, and it behaves the same way.
So, quick question about the points. I missed something in the middle there. You're putting 2 points on either side of the line, and then you're making those symmetrical
I'm making them symmetrical
to each other.
to each other. Along, basically, they're symmetrical to the line in the middle.
Okay, so the constraint is you click on one point and then the line.
No, you click on the two. You click on one thing, the thing you want it to be symmetrical, and then the mirror line.
Okay, because it's not letting me click more than one thing when I try to do that. Oh, you know what? It has a constraint of some sort.
Right. When something doesn't behave the way you expect it to do, it probably has some kind of constraint already. You inadvertently, yeah.
So you hit the point, you hit the second point.
Right, and then you hit the mirror line.
And then you hit the mirror line. Okay, now they're symmetrical. Got it.
Cool. So we had a question here. Can you do it? Can you have multiple lines of symmetry? I mean, absolutely. I can. If you want to try, you can hit L, draw a line, and then I will draw another line. Actually, I'll make those 2 lines midpoint to each other. So I'm going to click them and hit midpoint constraint. Then I'm going to go to point. I'm going to draw a point here, a point here, a point here, and a point here. And then I'm going to click on my symmetry constraint. I want this to be symmetrical to that along that line. I also want this and that. Actually, what I shouldn't have done that. I've never really experimented with it, but I would probably go here. I would hit this one, and I would hit that. And then I would hit this one, hit that one, and then hit that. And now they're all, see? And I could do that again. I could put another line in there if I wanted to. Or I could have done it like this. I could have gone line. I could go line. I mean, you can go crazy with this, right?
How would you, if you're doing that with the points?
I'm just using points as an example. I mean, you can do that with anything.
Right, no, this is super helpful, but I guess what I'm wondering is, how would you tell the distance between the center line, let's just say, and the point? If you
Oh,
wanted to-
okay.
To dimension that.
Okay, I'll show you. I want to make these two midpoint to each other. You can try it. I just drew 2 lines.
Okay.
I made them midpoint to each other. Right? I'm going to draw another line. I'm just going to go extreme, okay? This is like reality TV show, extreme sketching in Fusion 360, okay? And then I'm going to click that, and I'm going to make that midpoint to this one, right? I'm going to do another line this way. I'm going to make that one midpoint to that line. Now they're all constrained to each other, right? I can't. Now this one does not have an angle. These are definitely perpendicular, but these two are free.
Right.
I mean, I could, in fact, make that one perpendicular to that one, so I would just click that perpendicular, this, and that. Now those two are perpendicular, but they're not fixed in any way to the other. But I could fix that. Remember, I didn't show this to you. You can try it. Remember, dimension is a constraint. So are degrees. So I can hit, watch. I hit D, I get my ruler. I hit this line, I click on that line, I get degrees. I click again, and I want 45 in there. Now everything is 45 degrees to each other, right?
Got it.
So, but that didn't answer your question, did it?
Well, I would then get to the answer from there.
But do you see here now? Watch this. I'm going to draw 1 dot, and rather than use symmetry, I'm going to use mirror. Click. What's my mirror line? That one. Right? I'm going to do mirror again. I want this one to be mirrored against that line, and I want this one to be mirrored against that line. There's my dot right there. Right? But then I want to mirror that one, that one, that one, and that one against that line. If I move this one, you see?
Yeah. That's really helpful.
And I mean, that could have been anything. That could have been actually a circle if I wanted to, and I can just mirror those circles. I can any shape. You can mirror it along any kind of plane like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's groovy, isn't it? Okay, that was fun. If you want to take a 5-minute break, then we're going to come back and we really got into it today. I'm going to see if we can model something real quick with what we know, okay? Like real short 5-minute break. And then we're going to model a cup. A cup is not too hard, and we can do a couple of cool things with it, okay?
So multi-cam is the routing?
Yes.
Okay. I was interested in learning cost.
Yes.
But there are no classes.
They come up. They come up. You just have to keep your eyeballs open.
Well, there's only 2 people that teach it, and one of them is working right now.
Who teach? I know Nick does, and who else?
Nick, and there's a new guy Nick's working with.
Okay.
I see it because I'm on the thread that where they're talking.
Yeah, because I saw the introduction class. It was in weekdays in the morning, and I just signed up that day. And signed up for that class. I said, oh, where's one? And when I came in, nobody was here.
Here we go. All right. So brand new. We're all going to do. You can the sketching one. I mean, you can exit out. It probably auto saved it, and you're going to have a new one called Untitled. And let's just hit save, and we're going to call it Cup. And hit save. So best practices is to save it right away. And what we're going to do is we're going to just do like a cup. But we're not just going to make it look goofy. We're going to actually like model as much of it as we can. Okay?
Stupid question. I typed in cup, but it's not letting me highlight the state.
Are you on line? I don't know.
I believe so, isn't that?
You don't have a location. So
Got it.
okay, so whenever we model anything, we gotta use a little bit of intelligence here. There are a couple of ways we can model this. We can model it as two basic ways we can model it. We can model it where we draw a circle on one plane, we draw another circle on another plane, and then we loft from one to the other. That's one way. Another way is we draw a profile of that cut, and then we revolve it around a central axis. Two ways to do it, okay? And then fleshing it out, I mean, we can model it as a solid and then shell it out, or we can model it as a patch and thicken it up. And I probably could think of a couple of other ways to do it. That's 4 ways, okay? 4 variations. So I want to model it in a way where you guys can learn some cool things. So
What section five, that's one.
Huh?
Do it as a cone and then lock off the ends.
I'm gonna do it as, because loft is really cool. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a circle, and then we're gonna create another. Remember I told you we can create more than one sketch plane. We're gonna create a sketch plane up here, create another circle. Then we're gonna loft from that circle to here. It'll be right on the money. It'll be a solid. We'll shell it out. And then do you notice the lip on here? We'll put a lip on it. We'll put a pipe around the edge. We could even put, there's a bottom. We're going to ignore that, pretend that's not there, okay? And then if we really want to have some fun, we'll go online, we'll get a racetrack logo, and we'll put it on there and render it. And it'll look like this. Pretty close, okay? So, we're going to play Simon Says. First thing we're going to do, we have a new workspace. We're going to click on our cube and click top. Make sure the word top is reading left to right like that, and it's not on its side, but it's like that. Okay? We're going to hit C on our keyboard, and it's going to show a plane. You're going to click on that plane that we're going to draw on. And we're going to let the cursor snap to that bullseye. We're going to click once. We're going to move our mouse out and click again. Now we did not put a dimension in there. Okay. Some people like to click and put the dimension in. I don't like to do that. I think most pros don't do that. They sketch it out and then put the dimension in second right after that. So our first dimension. If you like to model things, I'll show you something I just modeled today when we're done. This is going to be, I've been asked to create a mold for a sand cast for this. This is going to be a brass thing for a pool, okay? And I'll show you how I modeled. I won't go through it, but I mean, that's complicated, but I'll show you. And so when you're modeling anything, if you want to duplicate something, these are super handy, okay? So we're going to do this in inches, and the bottom of this cup is, oh, shoot. .38 inches. So you hit the letter D on your keyboard, and then you click on the circumference of that circle, and you click, move out, click again. It's going to have a box, and you're going to hit 2.38. Okay? And we're going to stop sketch. And what I want you to do after you stop that sketch is go up to the upper right hand corner and click the home symbol. Okay, and then just zoom out like a little bit like that. So it's kind of like that. Now I'm going to show you some. I'm going to show you some things that different functions. The next thing we want to do is create another circle, but we want that circle to be drawn at 7 inches above that circle. And this is what we do. This is a common function that you'll use. It's in this construct area, and it's actually the default symbol right there. It's called offset plane. Click that. Dialog box will come up, and it's going to say, what plane do you want to offset from? Well, I want to offset from that first circle. I'm going to click that, and you see this, this orangey plane thing and a handle, an arrow, which is a handle. Now I can manually move that plane up and down, but we know where we want that plane to be. We want it to be above that circle, 7 inches. So in this number box right here, put in 7 and hit enter. So you should have something that looks like that. Who does not have anything that looks like that? Okay, good. Next, what we're going to do. So now what we want to do, we want to draw a circle on this plane right here. So with my, I'm not in sketch mode. I'm cleared out. Okay, I'm just in normal mode. I'm going to bring my cursor. Notice as I go over and off that cursor, that plane highlights, turns on and off. So I want to go over it where it highlights. I'm going to right click, and I want to create sketch. Just go down here where it says create sketch. You're going to notice there's that bullseye that's floating right up there. Okay, that's the origin, the new origin. And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to my cube on the right hand side here. I'm going to hit the word top. Okay, and it just so happened my top laid on its side like that, which I don't like that. I don't want to get disoriented. I don't want you to. So do you notice there are these little arrows? Just click the one to rotate it so top reads left to right like that. We're still on sketch mode, and we're sketching on that plane that's 7 inches above the bottom. We're going to hit the letter C on our keyboard. And then I'm going to just bring my cursor and have it snap to the center. It should snap directly. I'm going to click. I'm going to move my mouse out. Now, I mean, I could. You see, it has a number box in there. Like if you want to, you can put the number 7 in there, and then hit enter, and then enter. And oh, it's not 7. I mean, I need more Cane's chicken strips. Okay, we don't want 7. That's huge. We want this is 3.7. 3.7. So I put the wrong dimension in. Don't panic. You just go to that dimension, you double click it, and put 3.7 in. Boom. And then you can see what you've done. Hit stop sketch. And then go up to your upper right hand corner and hit the home. And you can see, if I zoom out, it's these 2 circles. And if you hold shift down and then you click and hold the wheel, you can actually like orbit around it like that. So here comes the unicorn magic, okay? What we're going to do is under create, which is right here, we're going to hit this one. You're going to use a lot. It's one of my favorites. It's loft. And you can loft between all kinds of shapes. You're going to click that. You might want to pin it, because if I pin mine, I use it a lot. Click on loft. Super easy. You click on the bottom profile. Because it's pink, click on the bottom one, and it'll name it profile 1. And then you click on the top profile. And then you hit OK. Okay? There's your basic shape of that cup. Okay? But it's not hollow, and it doesn't have a lip yet. So we're gonna hollow it out. And you're gonna go to modify here. And you're gonna go to shell. Awesome command. And I've got mine pinned. You probably, if you'd like to do hollow things, you might want to pin it. So I have mine pinned at the top. And you're going to click the face. Best practice is you're going to click the face where you want the opening to be. So the top of my cup, I'm going to click. And then the number it's going to ask is how thick do you want that wall? Well, I don't know what this is, but let's measure it because I have OCD and I want the exact number. So this is, oh jeepers, it's thin, huh? It's like, it's 0.09. It's 90,000. So in there you're going to put 0.09 and hit enter. So now when you look, it's now a cup. Okay? Yeah? We're missing something, right? What are we missing? We're missing the lip. And this is what's called a pipe. What we do is a pipe. And this is 0.17. So we go to create. And right there, about a little past the halfway mark is pipe. Click that. It's going to say, where do you want this path? And where do I want it? I want it on this edge right here. So I'm going to click that. Now, don't be alarmed. Mine turned red, and yours will too. What it's assuming, it bugs me, but it always assumes that you want to cut. I wish it would do. I wish the default was that it just assumed that you wanted to create a new body. But you're going to see here, we're going to look. Let's just look at this dialog box because this one has a lot more options. The first thing, just to make it do what we want it to do, at the very bottom, the operation right here, instead of cut, let's just make it join. Now you can join. So what it'll do is when we hit OK, that lip will join together with the cup and be a single body. If I go to cut, it will actually cut out that contour from the top. If I do intersect, it'll do, whatever is common between the two, it'll leave that shape, which won't be much of anything. It'll just be like a wisp. New body, what that will do is it will simply create an independent new body of that lip all the way around. And you know what? That's what I want you to do. I want you to click new body because then it'll allow me to show you another command. You could do join, but I want you to do new body.
You can only be made a ring separately.
Then we merge them, join them together. So you get to learn a new command.
Does that give you more flexibility with what you can then do to the pipe?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, if you do join, it's basically it's like a macro. You skip a step, which is the combine. But let's say you wanted to do something to that lip.
Right, like profile it or whatever.
Like, I mean, say you wanted to put a texture on it, or you wanted to carve it, or do something fun with it. Then you would probably you keep things in their simplest forms, and then you combine them together at the end for complex things. Okay, but I want to do that. So distance. You can see, I mean, you've got a lot of flexibility here. I can grab any of these handles, play with it. I can grab any of these handles. This one here, it allows me, I can wrap it only partially, or I can make it go all the way around. And that is this distance thing here. Distance, this distance number always represents a % of the actual distance of whatever that length is. So if I put 1 in there, that's 100%. The distance, the second one is where does it start? I want it to start at 0, and I want it to go to 100%. You can put taper angles on it and twist. So, I mean, you can have a pipe and put a twist on it, okay, if it's square, because the section, we happen to have circular. You can have a square pipe. That looks like one of those styrofoam cups. Or you can have triangular, but we want circular. And the section size, right? That was 0.17.
730?
We're almost done this. You can come in, that's fine. And what did I say the thickness was? Point.
90,000.
Yeah, I said. Did I say 90? Yeah.
90,000 for the wall,
Oh,
but not the lip.
oh, the lip. Right. The lip. Point. It's 0.19. So section size is 0.19. And we have new body. And then hit OK. All right. So we've got a thing that looks like a cup. Now these, I want you all to look on the left-hand side in the design tree, and where it says bodies, that little triangle. Open that up. We've got two bodies. We've got the main body of the cup, and we've got that lip. You can name these if you want. You just click on it. Sometimes when your model gets really big and complicated, name things. Name them. If you take some other classes, we always do that. But to combine these two together, you go to Modify, go to Combine, and the first thing it says Target Body. Well, you can't. The first one I can select the body of the cup, or I can actually select it from the design tree. So that's body 1. It doesn't matter. I can pick either one. The tool bodies, it's kind of a weird name. They use tool bodies because you use it as a tool, but you can either combine or you can use it to cut. But the tool bodies here is going to be the lip. The operation is going to be join. And I'm not going to talk about new component, but keep tools. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to join these two bodies together, but after they're joined together into one body, you still want to keep the lip because you might want to use it for something else later on. Then what you would do is you would click Keep Tools. Okay? That's what you do. But we don't want to keep it, so that's off, and then you hit OK. So now you see in the design tree, the two bodies have become one. So let's have just a little fun with it now. Let's give it some color or some properties. So on that body, you're going to right click, and you're just going to go down a little bit, and it's going to say appearance. There's physical material and there are appearances. We're just going to do appearance, and you're going to get this dialog box here that comes up, and you can apply an appearance to it. There's a bunch of them in here. There's glass, leather, metal, other, and under other, I think, is paper. Paper white. And literally all you have to do, you can do, just watch. You can, if you want to, you can bring it up here and put it in part of the design. Okay? Either way, I can drag it from here, or I can drag it from here and bring it over to the actual model or bring it to the body. And if I let go, it now applies this paper look to it. Okay? And once you've done that, you're going to hit close. And let's just have a little bit more fun. Hello. We're just going to have a little bit more fun. You can go, if you want to, you can go to your browser if you're online, and I'm going to go in here, racetrack, and I'm going to do images. Actually, I'm going to do race. Oh, there's a racetrack logo right there. See? I'm going to click on the racetrack logo right there. I'm going to click View Image right there. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to save the image. And I'm going to make sure I know where I save it. Don't ask me where you saved it. Just know where you saved it. I'm going to save mine to downloads. If you can't find it, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go back to Fusion. I saved it in my downloads. I'm going to go next. I'm going to go to Insert. Once you have it downloaded, you're going to go here to insert. I'm going to insert decal. That's that top one right there, decal. And it's going to ask what face. This face here of the cup. Select the image. It's right there, downloads. I'm going to get my racetrack. I'm going to click that, open. And there it is on my cup. I'm going to just rotate it. I can scale it up by grabbing this handle right here, that corner. I can scale this up. I can even check to see how far around it goes. I mean, that's good enough for me for what we want to do. It looks like it's tilted funny, but I don't. Right now, that's fine. I'm going to hit OK. So now what I have a logo. I probably made it go too far. And just scale it back a little bit. There we go.
So if you wanted to, say, laser etch something that was a tube or not flat surface, could you use this functionality to do this one to do that?
Not with decal. Decal is strictly aesthetic.
Okay.
There are other ways to do it.
Okay.
Now, once you have that, I'm just going to save it. I always like to save it before I render. And then I'm going to go in my gray box here, model. I'm going to go down to render. Okay. There are a lot of settings in here, but here's the key one. Okay. what I'm going to do is this view, if I'm going to just set mine back to default here, restore defaults. Okay. Viewport, there we go. That's my default. Right. Oh, that's not it. I see. I've got a different setting. Save. There's my default. Okay. So there's my cup, right? And the really cool thing is, so when if you want to render something, you actually just set it. Like if I want a close-up of the lip, like that, I set. You know, like in photography, you frame your object, and then when you framed it the way you like, you go to this little teapot here, render, and you click it. And you're going to get this thing that comes up and say, how do you want to render it? I would say, like, just if you want it to render relatively fast and look good, you go to print, you go to this 5x7, cloud render, final, and you click render.
Where's three credits?
You don't ever have to, you get, each render that you do, you get a maximum of 16 credits. Since you're an enthusiast, it's free.
Okay.
But you can only render, each request can only be 16 credits at the most, but you get unlimited.
Gotcha.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another view, like I want to view it like this, my cup. You know, there's even this background light there. You know what's even cool in Fusion? You can actually create your own little lamps, model your lamps,
So I don't
and move your lamps around so that it highlights certain parts of your model.
I don't see the lamp. What view is it that you're looking
No, you can't. Okay,
for? Or the light source, I mean.
my light source. All right, I have mine set on environment.
Okay.
My background here, that's
Oh, I
set
see.
up.
Is that cool light?
I have sharp lights on. So here you can either have it a solid color in the background. I like to use environment,
Okay.
and then I pick here, and I just grab one of these sharp
Got it.
highlights, and I hit close. And then here I've got I've composed my image, and I'm gonna hit render again. And I like this one, just to get it done quick. And then in the render gallery, it's gonna start to show up down in here. And right now it goes to the cloud. At this point, you literally could shut down Fusion 360, walk away, and it will still render for you. And then the beauty of it is, the beauty of this, I'm gonna, because it's beautiful. I can go to online. I don't even need Fusion 360. I can do it even on my phone. I just look up render Autodesk, and it says gallery Autodesk rendering. I sign in here with my creds with the same ones with Fusion 360. You can try it. And I think it's still in beta what they have, but it really works great. It really spectacular. These are things I've rendered already. These are all like designed in Fusion 360. But there's my cup. And I hit View Project. And right now it's rendering. Nothing has shown up. And it's giving me some time. It's like it's going to take less than 2 hours to do it. But I can walk away. But I can, if you look at some of these things that I've designed in Fusion 360, like this is basically a cutting board. This is, you know what that is? You know who this is? Do you know who this architect is? Anybody? Quiz question. Who's the architect? Name the architect. Frank Lloyd Wright. This is actually, I took a stained glass window that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, a picture, traced it out, okay, and then cut the block with the lines that I traced out from the stained glass window. And then I applied a different type of wood to each one of those blocks. And then put a border around it and rendered it. And that's a cutting board inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. And then I rendered it in here. Now I haven't made it. And I've showed it to the woodshop guys, and they say that's an insane glue up. But I'll tell you what, you can, in fact, take these parts, part them out, cut them out on the multicam, and glue them up. And it's actually much easier than how they do it old school. Okay? So I'm going to leave it like that because I have another class. The beginner classes are like this. We go through Sketch. I mean, if you already done it, you might want to just pop in like in the later half, and then we model something freestyle. We didn't have a lot of time, but at least you got a taste of it. And then some of the other classes, like where we really get into the modeling environment, the patch environment, the sculpt environment, and then I'm getting into doing joints and animation. So just watch for those. They're really cool.
So what would you recommend basically we take after this one? Just any of the follow-up classes, or do you recommend taking a specific class to follow this one?
This is the most important one.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,